Hey TLC, hope everybody's having a great day today. I wanted to take just a moment to talk to you a little bit about our plans moving forward back into one service and living life with the threat, if you will, of COVID-19. Give you some news updates about what's going on in the TLC family and how we can best proceed with the best knowledge and the best idea moving forward and living life with a pandemic in our country. So I don't know about you guys, but I have really enjoyed this kind of return to life, a little bit of normalcy that we've had for the last several weeks. I've enjoyed going out to eat, going shopping. Bridget and I have really enjoyed being around our True Life family. And so we trust that you have enjoyed those things as well. But unfortunately, we have to step back sometimes and have a reality check or a honest conversation about how we're going to live life moving forward with a pandemic. So I'm going to use some terms during this discussion that may be a little less common to some people than others. I'm going to talk about risk assessment, risk mitigation, and then degrees of separation. You know, we watch the news, we see the headlines that as we begin to open up our state and our country, that COVID cases are on the rise. And so we have to step back and make some personal decisions for our life and for our family. And that is very understandable. And as born-again believers, we do that with all faith, with all trust in God. We do that with prayer. And that's the way that we should do that. And we should live our life spirit-led, as I often say. But we also want to use reason and logic and be careful about how we go about life in general. And when we talk about risk assessment and mitigation, we all take risk in life in everything that we do. Every time that we get in our automobiles, we take some risk. So we have to decide, is the reward of being able to drive around town, go where we do what we want to do, is that worth the risk that we're taking when we get in our automobile? If you're not aware, every time you get in your car, the odds are there's 1 in 77 odds that you are going to have a car accident. But there's a 99.9% chance that you'll survive that car accident. Looked up those stats before we had this conversation. So that's assessing the risk. The odds are 1 in 77 that we'll have a car wreck. That's pretty good odds. I've had a few in my life. We won't talk about those right now. But there's a 99.9% chance that you'll survive that car wreck. Okay? So most people look at that, assess that risk, and say, you know what? It's worth the reward of being able to get to work on my own, get to the grocery store, get to Walmart, go out to eat. So most of us choose to drive our vehicles. However, there are still risk mitigation efforts that we put into place when driving our cars. We wear seat belts. We do the speed limit, or maybe just slightly over for some people, right? We practice good defensive driving. We keep our distance between other vehicles, and we slow down when it rains and in construction zones. And so those things are risk mitigation factors that we put in place when driving our cars. So we have to bring this now to the conversation of COVID-19, okay? What we're seeing as the cases rise, more and more people that we know are being exposed to people with COVID-19. It's kind of hitting closer to home, if you will. And when we look at what we hear from the news, you see the professionals, they're not 100% certain about all of our risk about contracting the virus. We hear they're pretty certain that it's airborne, respiratory is a likely way to contract the virus. They're not really sure about surface contact. We've heard yes, we can, and no, you can't, and then we're not sure. So we still have to look at this, assess the risk for our family, and then we have to say there's some mitigation efforts that we can put into place for COVID-19, and we have to decide what's the best for ourselves and for our family. Things like sanitizing our hands, social distancing, wearing masks, isolation. Those are 4 things that we hear a lot about in the news and other places that are risk mitigation efforts as it pertains to this pandemic. So you've got to decide for yourself and your family the risk of contracting COVID-19 versus the reward of living life, going to Walmart, going to the grocery store, going to church, going out to eat, of living life and doing those things. You have to decide that. Everybody has to decide that for themselves and for your family, and then combine that with, are there mitigation efforts that I can put into place to lower my risk of exposure? So with all that being said, I do want to inform you that we have had 3 to 5 families in the True Life Church that have had a 1 to 3 degree of separation of a confirmed COVID case. Now, nobody to my knowledge, at the time of this discussion, nobody to my knowledge in the True Life Church family has a confirmed case of COVID. But again, there's 3 to 5 families that have either been in contact directly with someone that has, or been in contact with someone who has been in contact. So that's a first, second, or third degree of separation. First degree of separation means you've been directly in contact with someone who's been exposed. Second degree means you've been in contact with someone else who has been in contact with someone who's had the COVID confirmation. So you think to yourself, well, that's not good news. But if we're real honest with ourselves, if in the last 2 or 3 weeks, if you've been out to eat, if you've been to Walmart, if you've been to the grocery store, you have very, very likely been in contact with somebody from a first to second, maybe third degree of separation who has a confirmed COVID case. Just because the way it's spreading and how many people are finding out that they've had it. Okay, so if we're real honest, we may not be aware of it, but probably somebody we've come in contact with has a 1 to a first to a third degree of separation of the disease already. So when we bring this home and we talk about it as a church family, and what does it mean on how we move forward? We're planning to come back together this Sunday for Father's Day, and I think it's going to be a great service, and everybody be back together. And yes, there'll be more people in the building, but we have implemented risk mitigation efforts against COVID-19. We're going to remind you of those today, and we're going to keep those in place as we move forward into this one service together. We have sanitizing stations throughout the campus, extra cleaning that has occurred. We have face masks that are available for people. Okay, we are asking that anybody stay home if you are showing symptoms of COVID-19. Any of the symptoms that you read about, from fever to, I know some of them are very, very similar to sinus symptoms, coughing, sneezing, runny nose, those sort of things. If you have those, please stay home. If you have been in direct contact with somebody who has had COVID-19, a confirmed case, if you are that's a first degree separation. If you know that you have spent time with somebody who has a confirmed case, then we're asking you to stay home until you either get some test results back to see if you have it, or if you've waited that 12 to 14 days to see if you have symptoms. Those are the 2 things that you can do to see if you have contracted the COVID-19 virus, waiting the 12 to 14 days or getting tested. We've had a lot of prayer about this, and we're going to continue to have focused prayer for this, okay, and protection over your families and over the True Life family. And we talk about this a lot. We're going to strive for unity. We're going to have understanding. We're going to have grace with those who choose to live life differently than us. Some people will live life more cautiously. Some will live less cautiously, okay? You and your family have to decide, assess the risk for yourselves, and what mitigation efforts you're going to put in place as you live life. See, Bridget and I have decided that we're going to continue to live life, but we're going to do it with certain mitigation efforts. We're going to do it with social distancing, sanitization, wearing masks. Okay, we're going to do those sort of things. I don't live in a fear of dying in a car wreck, but that doesn't mean that I live foolishly when I drive my car. I still go the speed limit. I still wear my seat belt. I still practice defensive driving, even though I don't have that fear, and even though there's a great chance I would survive a car wreck if I do, but I still drive my car with some wisdom. Okay, so Understand, we want you to be comfortable at True Life Church. We want you to come to church and be able to worship God with your church family comfortably. But if during this season, as we're coming back as one family, as cases begin to rise, if you make the decision for you and your family, we're going to enjoy True Life Church online and just see how things go. That's perfectly understandable. We understand that. There's no need to explain yourself. There's no need for apologies. Listen, this virus is spreading. There's a good chance that somebody is going to contract this, and we have to decide the best route for our families and for ourselves. But we want to do that. We want to live life not in fear, but we want to live life with wisdom. If you have any questions about what we've talked about today, we're not going to give out names of the families that have been around people that are being tested. Again, we have no confirmed cases at True Life Church. And we have people that are waiting to see if those they have been in contact with, if they have confirmed cases or not. If we get confirmation that people that are part of the TLC family have confirmed COVID cases, we will do proper communication. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. We're going to pray against that, believe against that, and take all mitigation efforts to prevent that. But I want to make you aware of what I have been made aware of in the last 48 to 72 hours, and just understand that I believe that God is doing great things at True Life Church. I believe we have taken a lot of great precautions. And as we continue to do that, as we continue to have no-touch altar services, no-touch family time, we have the wristbands to communicate our comfort level, we have the mask availability, the sanitization, I believe we're going to be okay, and we're going to continue to move forward and see God do great things at TLC. We love each and every one of you. We're praying for you, and we appreciate your prayers for us. Hope you have a great day, and we'll see you real soon. God bless.